Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this copywriting guide, you're going to get 5 proven headline formulas for your ads, landing pages, emails, content, and of course, sales pages. So make sure you check out that timestamp table of contents in the description, along with some other helpful links to building out the rest of your funnel, and of course, actually applying these headline formulas to your marketing. So before we dive into these 5 proven formulas, let's quickly go through 3 foundational questions we need to answer in order to ensure that these formulas actually work well for us. So the 3 questions are quite simple. Who are they in terms of your ideal customer prospect? Then what do they want and what do they think is getting in their way? And once you have the answers to these 3 questions, you're good to go. So I'll link up in the cards and the descriptions to a deep dive video on using data to actually come up with your ideal customer profile. Here we're just going to focus on those last 2 and look at what results are they after and what do they think is getting in the way. Now this particular exercise, you're probably going to want to spend anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes, if not a few days or more, really diving into the psyche of your ideal customer and trying to figure out what do they actually want to achieve and what do they think is getting in the way. For time purposes here, I'm just going to rapid fire in less than 60 seconds through this particular example. Let's just say we're trying to target someone who wants to grow a YouTube channel. Well, the results they are after, probably they want to be full-time, they want to leave their job, and they want a full-time income from their channel. That would be the ultimate result. Obviously, there's a lot more steps along the way, but we'll just leave it at that for now. What do they think is getting in the way? Well, they think they need more views, they need to grow faster so they can get the result that they want faster, and maybe they're not happy with their videos ranking and they think they need to improve their videos quality. Okay, great. Now you definitely want to take a lot more time than we just did with this, but we're going to use this as our foundational example as we go through these headline formulas. So the very first headline formula you've probably seen, number 1, is going to be the how-to, and it's used a lot because it works. So we have 3 variations for this particular headline formula. We have how-to even if, how-to without, and how-to so you can. So let's just jump straight into an example here from Neil Patel. You can see he's using the how-to without headline here, how to generate 195,113 visitors a month without spending $1 on ads. So here, something that I really like about this example is if you have numbers to include in your headlines, make sure they're very specific, because if he had just said 190,000 or 180,000, it would have been less believable than something that is exact. So when it looks exact, your ideal customer or prospect is going to be much more likely to look at that number and think that it actually represents something as opposed to a round number that was just pulled out of thin air. The next part that you should notice with this formula is the without section. So it's talking about something that most people think they have to do in order to get that many visitors. So by simply saying without spending money on ads, he's clearly stating that you're going to be able to do this without presumably a big ad budget. You might need to spend money other places, but he's dissuading that objection that, oh, I have to spend money on ads in order to get a lot of visitors. So let's go back to our example of someone trying to grow a YouTube channel and how we could apply this headline formula to their roadblocks and their desired result. And the first one we have is how to, the result that they're after, grow your channel, and then something that they think they have to do or something that's hard to achieve, getting lots of views. So I'll skip down to the third one here, how to outsource time-consuming admin work so you can grow your channel part-time. I really like the "so you can" phrase because it forces you to focus on a benefit. You'll actually see later on when we get to the last one, when we really ramp this up to be very specific. But what you want to do here when you use the "so you can" phrase is really think about, why does my ideal customer prospect actually want this result, or why do they want this out of their way? And when you feel like you're drawing a blank writing these headlines, you can always think about the 2 that apply pretty much across the board, something about time or something about money. Here we're talking about time, where we are making some sort of offer. This would be for a landing page or a lead magnet, where we're saying, hey, we're going to show you how to do this so you can actually achieve the result that you want on a part-time basis, where they might believe that they need to be full-time in order to achieve the results that they actually want. So the last example we have here is how to get more views to your videos to accelerate your channel growth. That's pretty straightforward and plain, and it's okay to have a headline like this where you're just talking about results and you're not necessarily talking about roadblocks or problems, although typically we find that when we actually address roadblocks or issues or objections, that the conversion rates are a lot better because it shows that you actually understand their situation. Now, to help you out here, let's go ahead and take a look at this diagram where now we're looking at it color-coded. So you can clearly see how we've taken the result and we've taken what is the perceived roadblocks and easily integrated them into this formula. So now let's go through formula number 2, which is the way. We have the new way to, the best way to, and the fastest way to. So these are very straightforward, so let's quickly go through some examples. So the first example we have is the new way to rank YouTube videos as a small channel. So here we're talking about something that they're struggling with, ranking videos, and we're also addressing the fact that even though they're a small channel, they'll still be able to achieve the result that they want despite the fact that they are a small channel. So when you're using these, you also want to make sure that you're still talking about results and you're still acknowledging where your ideal customer prospect is. So let's go ahead and skip down here. The new recording technique small YouTubers are using to make studio quality videos on a budget. Now with this particular one, we are hitting several different points. So I first want to point out here, instead of using the way or the new way or the fastest way, the best way, we're giving the way an actual name. So you can use strategy, technique, tactics, method as a descriptor for what you're actually delivering. And then here we're talking about studio quality, which is something that our perceived ideal customer cares about. They want to improve the quality of their video. But when they're thinking about improving the quality, we want to think, okay, someone who wants to improve their quality, what are they probably going to assume that they need to do in order to achieve that? Spend a bunch of money on equipment. So we want to take that objection away. So you also want to think about, okay, if we solve this problem, well, we're talking about, hey, we can solve this problem for you. Well, what do they think they need to do to solve the problem that you're just talking about? And sometimes you can handle that in your headline. So here we're handling the immediate objection that would come up of, well, I have to spend a lot of money to do that. I'm glad that I could improve video quality, but I don't want to spend the money. That's why we're talking about here. Now, the last example is a great way to really hone in on who exactly you're talking to, because the more specific your headline, the better it's going to convert. Now here we have the fastest way to get views to your videos, even if you have less than 5,000 subscribers right now. Now with the Neil Patel example, I was talking about results and being very specific. Here it's okay to be broad because we're using 5,000 as a way to call out a specific class of YouTuber. Well, I shouldn't say class, like there's some hierarchy here. A specific type of YouTuber. A YouTuber who has less than 5,000 views. So if there's a way for you to clearly identify who your ideal customer is or who your target is, then go ahead and try some headlines that follow this similar format. Obviously, if we said 10,000 or 100,000 or 200,000, we'd be getting a very different group of people. But by saying 5,000, it helps everyone who's under that know that, hey, oh, you know what, this might actually be for me. And of course, if someone's over 5,000, they're just not our target market or demographic, and that's okay. It's okay to eliminate people with your headline. If anything, you should be eliminating people with your headline so you speak directly to the people you actually want to be clicking. So that does it for headline formula number 2. Number 3 is going to be allowed to. So we have 3 different variations again. Allowed us to, allowed me to, and allowed insert prospect group to achieve some results. So you're gonna insert some result at the end of this, and then when we get to formula number 5, you'll see how you can really turn up the copywriting on this particular formula. But something I want to point out before we go into our example and some of the case studies we have here, it's important to note that you don't have to have achieved the result that you're talking about. I know that kind of sounds bad, but bear with me here. If you have actual data that you can point to in your lead magnet or your ad or your sales copy, whatever this headline is for, that shows that what you're talking about has been successful for other people and it's actually proven, then you can go ahead and identify your prospect group. So For example, if you're talking about weight loss and it's weight loss geared at people who have, I don't know, a full-time corporate job or something, and there's some study that says, hey, people at a corporate job, they did these exercises throughout the day and they, lost 5 pounds over a month or something. Well, just because you haven't done that for your specific clients or your specific students, there's a study that proves that what you presumably be teaching would actually work. So it's okay to point to third-party data as a justification for what you're saying in your headline. Of course, please don't make it up. So here's an example of allowed me to from another great marketer, Eric Sue. His headline reads, "The playbook that allowed me to build a multi-million-dollar agency with clients like Lyft and Uber." So here it's very straightforward. He's saying exactly what you get. You get a playbook. He could have just as easily said the plan, the blueprint, the map, but playbook, I guess, does sound better now that I've said all of those, right? And allowed me to, and then fill in the blank with a result. And the result being he has a really large company and he's worked with really big clients. So presumably, whoever he's targeting with this are other agency owners who want to have lots of money and from lots of big clients. So this is a very, very powerful headline formula to use when you are positioning yourself as an authority or influencer. You'll speak right when you type this out, right? An authority or influencer, and you have an audience or prospect pool of people who are trying to achieve the same result you are, and they want to follow in your footsteps. So let's go through some examples here with our YouTube channel growth. The weird video campaign that allowed us to double our subscriber growth in 30 days. So here we're talking about a specific thing that we were able to do, which is a video campaign. And what did it allow us to do, or what was the result or benefit? Well, we doubled in 30 days, right? So I want to go ahead and skip down to the last one here, which is the 3 things that allowed me to produce studio quality videos for less than $500. Now, something that you can do with your headlines, if you're using numbers, specifically pricing or time, is also push away people. So pushing away people, again, is very important. So for example, if we had a course on the back end of whatever this ad or landing page was that was more than $500, this would be a great way to make sure that anyone who's scared by the $500 number doesn't enter their name and email. After all, if you say $100 or for $50 on your landing page, and then someone's going through a sales sequence where you're trying to sell them a $2,000 service or a $500 course, well, there's going to be a huge mismatch. So when you're writing your landing pages, you also want to think about what the next actions in whatever your funnel or sequence is going to be to make sure that you're setting people up for the proper expectations. Because if you have a headline that's targeting a bunch of people who want to build something for less than $50, but your product costs $500, well, there's going to be a pretty big disconnect there. So just keep that in mind as you go through writing your headlines. Now, this next one is going to be very, very simple, and these are just where you're using a number. So we have the 3 ways, 5 steps, 7 tips, 9 lessons, 11 tricks, 14 secrets, 17 ideas, and 21 hacks. And then you can just go ahead and fill in the blank with the results or roadblocks or problems that you're overcoming. These are great for content. Personally, I like using 5 steps a lot in my headlines. It's pretty lazy writing, but I just tend to gravitate towards that. And you'll find that you'll gravitate towards one of these as you come up with your content. And of course, if you want to be naming your lead magnet, then you can go ahead and use this formula as well. So I just have one example here because these are pretty self-explanatory, and this is from jasonbondpicks.com. He also has a large successful YouTube channel, and his headline reads, "Learn the 3 simple patterns I use daily that aims to 3x your portfolio every year." And here he's just listing out 3 simple patterns, so he's talking about exactly what you get. Now with number 5, this is going to be actually taking the first 4 and starting to add modifiers on top of them. So these headlines are going to be longer, but they're going to start to include a lot more elements and do a lot more ninja things when it comes to bringing in the right people and excluding the wrong ones. So we have 1 extra modifier, and the first 2 you will recognize from some of the other headlines, and then we'll go through some examples on putting all of these pieces together. And hopefully you'll start to see how these become interchangeable. So that's when copywriting really becomes fun. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So here, the last one we have is blank in time. So we have 15 minutes, 30 days, 6 months, or an afternoon. And this is simply where you're giving some sort of time frame to the result or overcoming a particular problem. Now, it's important that the time frame is ambitious to where like, oh yeah, I really want to be able to achieve that in that amount of time. That sounds cool, but not so crazy that it's just unbelievable. Like a headline that reads, lose 5 pounds in 5 minutes. You know, it's just kind of, yeah, no, that sounds like a pretty big gimmick, or something that's super unhealthy, right? So you want to make sure, that's a facetious example, but you do want to make sure that the timeline does make logical sense, but it's aggressive enough to where someone is going to be intrigued of, oh, maybe I can get this done faster than I thought I could. Now, the other two modifiers we have here are ones we've seen before, that's without, even if, and then so you can. So let's go ahead and jump into some examples where we actually start taking lots of different elements from other formulas and combining them into one. So our first example here, how to double your subscriber growth in 3 months, even if you have less than 5,000 subscribers right now, is a great example of including multiple elements. So we have how to double your subscriber growth. This is a result, and we're being specific with the result. It's not triple, it's not 5 extra, it's double. And if we were including a case study here, we could say how to get 1,256 new subscribers in the next 3 months, even if you have less than 5,000 right now. So you can also be very specific with the result. But here we are using 5,000 subscribers right now to target people who have less than 5,000 subscribers. Obviously, anyone above 5,000 isn't going to find this interesting, and that's okay. And here we're also using the modifier in 3 months. So if we said double subscribers in 30 days, that might be ridiculous unless we went ahead and said we're targeting people who are less than 500 subscribers, or maybe at 250 subscribers or something like that. So you also want to make sure that your time frames and the claims that you're making, of course, are congruent. So if we say double subscribers and it's 30 days, and then we're saying if you have 10,000 or less, well, then someone with 10,000 subscribers is going to look at that and say, there's no way I'm going to literally get 10,000 new subscribers in the next 30 days. That just doesn't make any sense. And even if someone's not at 10,000, they're going to go through the same logic in their head and say, whoa, that doesn't make sense. So even though people hate doing math, right, basic number sense is going to play a role on whether or not your headline is actually going to work. So just keep that in mind if you're using a lot of numbers like this particular headline is. So the next one we have here is the easiest way to rank your videos as a small channel. So we're being very specific. Rank your videos as a small channel, even if you're getting less than 100 views right now. So we're even adding specificity here, because when we say small channel, that's pretty broad. Who knows what a small channel is? Some people might think 50,000 is a small channel. Other people might think 200,000 is a small channel. It's just all about perspective, right? So when we say getting less than 100 views right now anyone who is going through the pain, and it really is painful, of starting a channel and having thousands of subscribers but only hundreds of views, that's really going to call out to them. Whereas someone else who gets thousands of views on the first try, well, they're not a customer, so we don't want them opting in anyway. So I hope you're seeing the trend here where we want to be specific and eliminate those who aren't really a good fit. So the final one we have here is going to be the 3 fast ways to cut your editing time in half so you can finally go to bed on time. So when we first introduced the so you can phrase with the how to in formula number 1, I talked about focusing on their actual situation and their benefit. Here's where that is going to pay off big time, because when you say so you can and you fill in the blank with an actual situation that your ideal customer deals with, and I know for a fact a lot of YouTubers like myself, especially when we're just getting started and we don't have a team, we don't have an editor, we're just learning editing, we're staying up late trying to finish our videos, and it is so annoying because, well, not only do you walk around the next day like a zombie, you're spending all this time and energy editing a video and not creating more videos, which for most YouTubers is the fun part. So I use that as an example because it's really important to take your time with your headline writing and really think about what situation is my ideal customer or prospect in? Because if I went ahead and talked about something else here, it could completely miss the mark. And that's okay. That's what testing is for. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that goes through conversion rate optimization, testing your landing pages, all that fun stuff. But here you want to make sure that when you use So You Can, you really think about why specifically someone wants to achieve the result or overcome that roadblock beyond just the result of making more money or having more time. So here it is, well, you have more time, but why does someone want to have more time with their editing? Well, because they're staying up late and they want to go to sleep and they don't want to be a zombie the next day every time they have to create and post a video. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Most importantly, you have a much better understanding of how you can start writing your own headlines for your ads, landing pages, sales pages, content, and emails. So hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.